This man's been in Parliament since 1990. You heard him say before he made a plea to government in September 2021 not to proceed with the vaccine mandate. In November 2021, he highlighted the plight of people unable to access vaccine exemptions. He had another go in October 2022. He requested of the Health Minister justification for vaccinating children. In November 2022, he called for an end to silencing the experts, that happened on my program, who could prove that people had died either from the vaccination or from not being properly treated because of the obsession with coronavirus. And the speech in relation to that was removed from YouTube. In February this year, the man you're watching spoke about a 22-year-old woman prevented from completing her New South Wales paramedic course due to being unvaccinated, even though she had an approved medical exemption. In May,
correct,
Russell Broadbent highlighted the plight of a 16-year-old girl who'd been refused a lung transplant because she was unvaccinated. This is inhumane. And only this month, Dr. Beverley's story, which he has related, terminated by her hospital employer for not being vaccinated, despite having a valid exemption. Now, I've spoken to people on this program about all of this. Where the hell are we going? We've now got the firefighters. I mean, you wrote to the Fire Rescue Commissioner, Gavin Freedom. What's happened to that?
No response.
No response.
No response.
No response. Just, are there no sanctions for these people?
The responses I get from government are just 3-page gobbledygook.
Yeah. Or passing the buck. We can't interfere. It's in someone else's jurisdiction. I saw one letter. Someone else's jurisdiction. So Rescue Victoria are still enforcing the COVID vaccine mandate, even though Fire Rescue Victoria's own risk assessment acknowledged the risk of vaccination side effects.
Can you imagine, Alan Jones, if the people that worked for you saw that risk assessment, you saw it, and then you allowed the people working with you to take that risk?
It's beyond belief.
I mean, I couldn't do it.
No, you couldn't do it. And yet these people, I mean, Josh has spoken to me. I asked Josh, are you being threatened for speaking to me? I mean, here they are being threatened and punished for speaking out against the mandates, even though Fire Rescue Victoria's own risk assessment acknowledged the significant risks from this coronavirus vaccination. Where do we go from here, Russell?
I think, Alan Jones, you better say what those significant risks were.
Yes. Well, I did outline that with Josh. Yeah. Myocarditis, pericarditis. We talked about when I was talking to Josh. Possible
death.
Yes, of course. Well,
When have you ever heard a risk assessment of an on-the-job application of any job in Australia where you risk death? Now, I know our first responders, as we have sadly experienced in Australia, particularly South Australia recently, the risk of death of our first responders, Alan, and we all feel for them and their families, absolutely. However, if there's a health risk to a requirement, surely the employee should be told of that risk.
Yeah.
It would be your first obligation. I've been an employer of many people in my business life and in this life. And you would have to tell them of that risk if you see that risk assessment. How could you just dismiss it? Or just double down?
Can I say to the people at home, this is the fundamental weakness, isn't it, of the whole political system in this country. The man you're watching here is out of the parliament. We need about 50 of them in the parliament.